dragons. When added to SkyBlock, they gave players the first idea of what being endgame meant. A player in full superior armor was seen as a god, but with massive updates and loads of new content, many people believe dragons have become irrelevant. But I disagree. So today I'm going to show you how they have consistently redefined SkyBlock's endgame, even as recently as 2 months ago. But to understand exactly how, we need to reflect on SkyBlock before dragons. In June and July of 2019, Hypixel's new SkyBlock game mode made sense. It felt like no matter what you were doing, you were getting stronger. But there was an interesting issue. Players didn't really know what they were grinding towards. I mean, no one really knew what it meant to be endgame. Some saw killing mobs in one hit as endgame, but as Ember Rods became more accessible, everyone could one-tap everything. Some saw having items like the Pigment Sword or Emerald Armor as being maxed, but the grind to get those items was so absurd that the only practical way was to place down minions and just wait several weeks. But even if you did want to actually play the game, say to grind money or something, well, there wasn't really a great way to do that either, obviously, unless you were time Dio. But players across the game yearned for something more, something grand, something that would change progression forever. And in August of 2019, that dream came true. When the end update was added, it was a terrifying place.
Oh! Endermen are so strong!
You really think I can't handle it?
Okay. Everything in this world is on crack.
This update was the birth of an era that would lead to the game becoming a household name. Well, among nerds. There were the obvious features, like finally having an easy way to get Ender Pearls, dropping Ender Armor, and, spawning the Ender Dragon. But this update also had tons of hidden gems. Shiny blocks, island racing, and runes were all introduced, which meant that someone like me, who was lucky to get 2 hits on an Enderman before dying, could still have fun in the end. But this also gave SkyBlock way more depth, and finally added a proper endgame. Players had something real to work towards. Killing dragons and getting their loot, or for people smarter than me, making money and then spending it directly on dragon loot. Loot that included the aspect of the dragons, a bunch of crap no one cares about, and each of the dragons' respective armor sets, with one rising to the top immediately.
Superior dragon armor.
If you were there in 2019, then you know that superior dragon armor wasn't just an increase in damage, it was a status symbol. The red eyes, yellow armor, and orange boots became the symbol of success. That's why dyed superior sets are so rare now. Back when you could use Minecraft's default dyeing system, well, no one wanted to, because these sets were just that iconic. But when something is so universally desired like superior was, well, it shakes up the economy quite a bit. So many people spawned and killed dragons with hopes of getting this armor that the price of summoning eyes shot up. And with that, grinding these eyes became the best way to make money in the entire game, and one dragon set proved it was right for the job. No, not superior, this blue one. Wise. See, Wise Dragon Armor gives a lot of a stat called mana, which is what's needed to use most of the game's abilities. Abilities like the Rogue Sword's speed boost. But not everybody could afford the gear for this method, and as Technoblade perfectly put it,
This has actually caused a huge wealth inequality in SkyBlock, as rich players just go along farming millions of coins per hour easily, while poorer players that don't have strong enough swords have to put in 10 times the effort to get a fraction of the results.
summoning eyes became the economy, so much so that people started using their price to determine in-game inflation. But rich players didn't just have a monopoly on grinding eyes, they also had one on dragons themselves. See, dragon loot is random, but you have to have more weight in the fight in order to unlock the possibility of getting the best drops. To be eligible for all drops, you need 450 weight. You get 100 weight for each eye that you placed, and then placing higher on the damage leaderboards gives you more and more weight, with first place getting 300. Which means that placing 2 eyes and getting 3rd in damage doesn't actually qualify you for all drops. And this is where we saw the rise of streamers placing eyes for their viewers, getting first, and then taking a cut of the profits. Most of the time, they wouldn't charge you if you lost a bunch of money, but if you made a bunch of money, you bet your ass they're taking a cut. But at this point, dragons were the most influential part of SkyBlock, and they were about to get even better while also facing their first real threat.
18 million. 32 million. 50 million.
There's an age-old proverb that says, if you come at the king, you best not miss. The Midas sword came for the aspect of the dragon's throne. Now you're probably thinking, I thought that Midas was a king, so how can the aspect of the dragons be on the throne? Well, because at first, the Midas sword was widely hated.
And it's the Midas sword again. Nobody loves you, Midas sword. Stop wasting our time.
That's because the sword got a better bonus the more you spent on it. But in the early days, no one really had the 50 million coins required to get the max bonus, so it went relatively unused. But as the game progressed, that 50 million coin price tag went from insurmountable to, yeah, I could grind that in a couple days. Pair that with a recent buff to the sword's max bonus, and if you spent 50 million coins on it, it was the best sword in the game. Friend of the show, Mash Clash, actually had one of these around that time, so I reached out to him and asked if it was any good.
Yes.
But don't let his enthusiasm fool you, because dragons fought back through the pet update. Pets of all different types were added, with rarities ranging from common to legendary. But for this video, we're going to focus solely on the Ender Dragon pet, which only came in epic or legendary. Now the base stats were pretty solid, and it had an ability that increased damage to end mobs, but neither of those mattered nearly as much as One with the Dragon. Buffs the aspect of the dragon's sword by 50 damage and 30 strength. Now if we compare those new numbers to the Midas sword, the aspect of the dragons is stronger on both accounts. But the Midas sword was still kinda better. See, the Midas sword was about the same cost as a full set of superior dragon armor, but the Ender Dragon pet, well, it was about the same cost as 10 sets of superior dragon armor, and getting one as a drop from dragons would cost the same as about 100 superior sets. So the issue wasn't which does more damage, it was which could people actually obtain. Primarily because the damage difference is just so small, so unless you were crazy lucky, the Midas sword takes this one. But friend of the show, Pigicle, is crazy lucky, and he actually dropped one of these back in the day, so I reached out and asked if the difference was worth the cost.
Yes.
And if you caught his attitude with that, well, that's because he knew what was to come just a few months later.
Dungeons are a co-op PvE raid where you unlock a bunch of loot chests and you get rewards.
Dungeons were the most anticipated update of all time. Like, imagine the foraging update, but with 5 times the player base. And for good reason. I mean, unlike the Midas sword, when dungeons came for the king, they didn't miss. For starters, superior dragon armor, the set that people would go to bed dreaming about, was immediately outclassed. See, items dropped in dungeons could be upgraded via stars, and these stars would add bonus stats outside of dungeons, but way better stats inside of dungeons. And so any armor that a mob may have dropped when you killed it was better than superior in dungeons almost right away. I mean, you could upgrade superior with stars once your dungeon's level hit 30, but by the time that was even achievable, better armor sets inside and outside of dungeons were already available and more accessible than superior. But that's just comparing to superior. I mean, some of the other dragon sets had great niche use cases, so people still had to do dragons, right? Dungeons introduced these guys, Lost Adventurers. They looked like a player wearing dragon armor. And when killed, they dropped that type of dragon fragment, which can then be used to craft the armor sets. Because why not? But luckily, Lost Adventurers only came in 4 different dragon types: Unstable, Young, Superior, and Holy. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right, dragons aren't dead, idiot. Dungeons added a new dragon set, Holy Dragon Armor. I bet it's super good and it's... Oh, yeah. Damn, alright, cool. Dungeons also had a more indirect effect on the economy. Since so many incredible armor sets were so easily obtained, dragon sets became worthless. Where they once defined the endgame, people in strong dragon armor were now considered nons, and even superior armor would get you kicked out of dungeon parties. No one knew what it meant to be endgame anymore. People tried to attach labels to certain items, but there was no real definition, which is why we got that 30 virus copy pasta, where he said he's somewhere between late and endgame and got a ton of shit for his different classifications. And as far as weapons go, let's do the same comparison we did earlier of just raw stats. And that's excluding the fact that all the other swords have way better abilities than the AOTD. Okay, but we're not quite at rock bottom though. I mean, let's not forget, People did hit dungeons level 30 at some point, and thus could upgrade their superior armor. Surely it came back and was the best set, and Shadow Assassin armor came out in floor 5 and made superior look like a complete joke, with or without stars. And the various types of wither armor from floor 7 were the last shovel of dirt on the grave of dragons. If you're wondering why we didn't really talk about the Ender Dragon pet there, well, that's because it didn't change much. But that's honestly a bad thing. The price was still insane, no one could afford it, and it wasn't a true endgame defining pet. It was basically just an expensive bonus that 0.01% of players had. But with the Crystal Hollows update came new money-making methods and a new dragon pet that changed everything. This video isn't about mining, so I'll give you the shortest possible explanation of the update. Gemstones each give stat buffs, and you can craft tons of them together to get stronger and stronger variants. When mined, gemstones can sell to NPC shops for a good bit of coins. You can increase how many you get per block broken, making tens of millions of coins every hour. Each key gemstone type has an associated zone on the map. Each of them have unique structures, but this one can spawn this room, which has these golden dragon eggs. You can buy one for a bunch of expensive materials and 500 million actual real coins, and congrats! It's a new dragon pet. Except it's different. When most pets hit level 100, they're maxed out. When this one hits level 100, the egg hatches and you basically have a level 0 pet. And it's not until level 200 that the pet is actually maxed out. But holy hell is it worth it. You want magic find? No worries. You want strength? Not a problem. You want a flat out damage increase tied directly to how many millions you have in the bank? You are covered. That's actually a big reason that this update, and specifically this pet, redefined the endgame. The coins required became much more straightforward to obtain without really losing value, since everyone was paying an obscene amount of money for this pet and maxed out gemstones to put on their gear. Now that's what endgame looks like. Even today. I mean, these items were introduced in 2021 and they're still metrics used to define SkyBlock's endgame. But I do want to clear the air on a few things. First off, no, just adding anything dragon related doesn't cut it and doesn't add to the endgame. No, we didn't need a dragon that you can fish up and get frustrated fighting. I guess it's cool that dragons are in the last dungeon floor boss fight. And yes, dragons in the end got a massive update that once again made them the most important and fun parts of the game. Players were thrilled to finally get a...
Hello again, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about what is, in my opinion, the first major update of 2024, the Dragon Rush update.
This update was super sick. It added an upgrade to Summoning Eyes called Awakened Summoning Eyes, which changed dragons completely. When Awakened Summoning Eyes are used, there are 3 possible outcomes. First, 2 to 3 dragons spawned sequentially. Second, a Dragon Rush, where 3 dragons spawn all at once and cause a bunch of chaos. And third, the Primal Dragon spawns. I'll give you a hint. That's the one you want. The dragon dropped aptly named Primal Dragon armor, which was quite literally too good, but more on that in a second, because Primal Dragons also dropped the Primal Dragon eggs, which could upgrade the Ender Dragon pet from legendary to mythic, and the Primal Dragon heart, which you could use 2 of with an aspect of the dragons to craft the upgraded Blade of Dragonfire. And if none of this sounds familiar, then you probably haven't played in ages, or you just weren't playing on the short window that it was being tested on the alpha server. This update was tested several times until it was eventually killed. As the admin team put it, Primal Dragon armor, quote, outclassed most other combat armor sets to an unreasonable degree. This update would have single-handedly revived dragon combat overnight. And unfortunately, when this update was playable, I didn't get a chance to try it. I was on one of my many SkyBlock burnout hiatuses. But friend of the show, Duralius, did get to try it, so I reached out and asked if he thought it was cool.
Yes.
Now I know it's heartbreaking to see him get emotional like that, so I do want to let you guys know that dragons aren't going anywhere. They're continuing to evolve the endgame, and I'd actually argue in ways more significant than the Primal Dragon would have been. Because we've since seen 2 additional dragon pets that require level 100 to hatch and level 200 to max, being the Jade Dragon for foraging and the Rose Dragon for farming. The Primal Dragon update would have had dragons further define the combat endgame, but the Golden Dragon pet is holding strong on that front, and now with these other 2 pets, dragons are defining what endgame is for all different aspects of the game. And I don't think that this is the end. I do think we're going to get a mining dragon pet and a dungeons dragon pet and hell, maybe even a carpentry dragon pet. Because at the end of the day, this game's peak came from dragons. This game's understandable progression came from dragons, and this game's definition of endgame has and will continue to come from dragons. Hey, you, I'm doing a birthday live stream tomorrow, Sunday, February 22nd, or today, depending on when you're watching this, but please stop by. I'm going to be doing dragons, among other things, and it'll be fun. 9 AM CST. Also, check out this video, or subscribe. And without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.